ready to start. Hi gang, my name is John O'Brien, your instructor for the asynchronous class History 1510, all of world history before the year 1500. So this class will be delivered asynchronously, which means not in real time. So you can watch these videos at your leisure. You can even re-watch them or rewind them, slow them down, etc. So this class will be delivered not live streamed. So again, you can watch these anytime you want, and if you need to watch them more than once, by all means go ahead. I will post these, as I've done with this one, throughout the week via Blackboard, our learning management system. So welcome, my name is John O'Brien. I've taught this course for many years. Nonetheless, I learn something every time I do. In fact, this is the first time I've taught this for a full semester asynchronously. And this is because of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course. Normally I would be in class, but there are some advantages to this. Last semester, when we abruptly switched to this modality, I had a mother who suddenly had children in the home because schools had closed, and she could not go to class at 9 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever it was. I had a young man who worked at a grocery store, essential worker, whose hours went from like 4 hours a day to like 10, 12 hours a day. He could no longer attend class if we had been holding it. So this is advantageous to some of you, especially as the local schools try to figure out what they're going to do with student schedules. This might be an option for you. And in fact, there's still some room in this course. This is the first meeting. So this week there's time to drop, and please don't drop, but add the course. You can drop it if you need to, if you feel this is not for you. The first course I usually talk a little bit about myself, try to break the ice, which is kind of hard to do. Here I am all alone. I'm at the beautiful studio, so to speak, of YMCA Camp Manassa, and that's part of me. Just finished summer camp, where I'm the camp director, now shifting back into a different educational mode, the community college. I came from Jamestown. I'm in DeWittville as we speak. I live in DeWittville. But I grew up in Jamestown. I went to Jamestown High School. I attended Jamestown Community College, where I started out as a business major because that's what my father had done. And eventually really enjoyed history. I've been turned off to history. Hopefully my social studies teachers are not watching this from my high school years. They're probably quite on in years at this point. But look, social studies have kind of turned me off in high school. All the Regents exams and the constant prepping. But having to take history at the community college level because of general education, which is why a lot of you are taking this, kind of rekindled my interest in history, and pursued it. Ended up getting a double major in business and social sciences, kind of with a focus in history. Went on to SUNY Fredonia, a destination for many of my local students anyway. Commuted, worked a whole heck of a lot of hours for the Jamestown YMCA as a lifeguard, fitness instructor, janitor when they needed one, and commuted to Fredonia, where I majored in business and history, again a double major. Business was kind of the practical thing, and history seemed to be the idealistic thing. And then my grandmother passed away, sadly, but I had a little bit of money for the first time in my life, and I took it and went to France. Went to France for a semester, having very little French. I think I took one semester of French at Fredonia, and there I was as a student, foreign, obviously, student, in a program at the Sorbonne University of Paris, where they made us learn French the proper way, but also French history and Parisian architecture, all this really cool stuff. I came back from that experience, traveling around Europe as well, on a Eurail pass, very cheaply eating bread and cheese, and went on to the University of Buffalo, UB, where I attained my graduate degree in history, and did some postgraduate hours, and then kind of said, hey world, I'm ready to teach, but the world did not respond. Very difficult then, I suppose it's now, to find a position teaching in higher education. So I decided actually to go back to SUNY Fredonia. I had my master's in history already, working part-time for the YMCA, running this camp actually, which is great, but it wasn't going to pay the bills forever. And went back to SUNY Fredonia, where I started a degree in secondary education social studies. So I guess by that time I was a non-traditional student, which I assume some of you are. That was a great experience. I student taught in Westfield Academy and Central Schools. Don't know if I have any Westfield alums out there, but that was a nice experience. Both U.S. history and economics and global studies, great semester. our term, and I got my teaching basically certification. I never took the exam. And then prepared to teach high school, whereupon a position opened up at the community college. I had already taught part-time for JCC, and somehow I withstood a national search. Don't know how. And now I'm kind of on this side of the podium, usually on the Jamestown campus. But although I'm the instructor, the professor now, I'm a full professor, it doesn't mean I know everything about world history. World history, my God, how comprehensive can we be? No one knows everything about world history, including the authors of your textbook, right? We always learn something. We ask new questions. Sometimes we find new evidence, okay? So we're constantly discovering, which is why there's always a new edition of your textbook. By the way, your textbook is now in the 7th edition. Well, what was wrong with the first 6? Well, nothing was really wrong with them, but we've added more authors and asked new questions and hopefully found some new answers along the way. So history doesn't repeat itself, but it keeps adding to itself, right, if historians do their job. So when I'm not teaching or running YMCA Camp on Yasa, by the way, due to COVID, we could not do overnight camp this summer, so there's a little bit of history if this is ever archived. Well, we transitioned quite well to day camping. We call it Day Camp Joagoa, which is a Seneca Indian word for 3 sisters. 3 sisters, a method of farming symbiotically, corn, beans, and squash together. And that ended up being very successful, we think responsibly administered program, primarily outdoors. Little kids were wearing masks, so were we. No one had a problem with it. Social distancing, tough for little kids to do. But we stayed safe, healthy, happy. So really nice experience. So when I'm not teaching with you, I'm running a Y camp in the summer, and I love to travel. Since my wife and I, Rachel and I, have had a child 3 years ago, not quite so much traveling. Did a little bit of traveling in the United States for a wedding, but I used to travel quite when I was a bachelor, quite extensively abroad. I've been a lot of places. I've started an exchange program, so to speak, with China and also Japan. They are on hold right now due to the COVID crisis, but if we get through this and you're still a JCC student and you'd like to go teach English in China or Japan, these programs allow for you to pay just JCC tuition and the cost of getting to Japan or China. JCC has a similar program in Spain, which I don't administer, but it's a great program. And our hosts abroad give you room and board. Okay? In return for teaching, you live basically for free. And the young people we've had in Chengdu, China, or Tokyo, Japan, have actually told me they spent less money doing that than they would have on campus. Don't tell our FSA fine housing people that, but somewhat of a cheaper experience for at least a semester. It's something really cool to put on their resumes. So I love to travel. I love to read. I'm constantly reading the news because I believe historians should connect past to present. Right? And that'll be our goal this semester, to connect past to present. We need to know what's going on today, folks. All right? So I'll be giving you relevant news articles. Part of the course will be to read short news articles from reliable sources regarding developments today. Right? Not just things 4,000, 6,000 years ago, but developments today that somehow connect and have real meaning to our lives. We're living through a very historic period. I guess everyone can always say that, but certainly with this pandemic, a crossroads election coming up in a few months, certainly very historic time in our country, as well as the world. So I love to read, keep up with the news. I'm actually a student, so I know how it is to be a parent who works and goes to school. Once I attained the position at JCC teaching, I put my graduate studies on hold, but about 5 years ago I renewed my graduate work toward a doctoral degree. I'm now writing my dissertation. So I'm ABD, all but dissertation, which means I did all the coursework for the doctoral degree, passed my comms, language, all that stuff. Now I'm doing real research, mostly looking at old crinkly newspaper clippings from the 1920s, which is, for me, really cool. So hopefully I will have a dissertation. It's about a 300-page book, basically, in the next couple of years. I'll give you a discount on that if you're interested. So I'm real happy to be part of JCC. Although I'm on, so to speak, this side of the podium or this side of the camera, it doesn't mean I know everything. I'm not omniscient. I do consider myself a co-learner, and I'm still learning. Okay. that's a bit about me. I said personally, I married kind of the girl next door, young woman next door, Rachel, also from DeWittville. We have, our family's grown. We have a 3-year-old daughter, Jacqueline, 2 dogs, and 5 cats. They just keep showing up. It's tough for us to say no. Please don't send us your cats, though. I think we're full for the time being. I know that's not why you're tuning in today. Well, you have to tune in. You really want to know more about the course and thus the syllabus. Let me just check the camera since I have no one here. I want to make sure we're still recording. Oh, yes. Last semester I would do like a full 15-minute lecture and realize the camera stopped 5 minutes in, so that like 45 minutes was wasted. JCC's portal is here, sunyjcc.edu. If you go to MyJCC, quick primer here, most of our stuff is online right this semester, right, due to the darn COVID thing. You see banner where you can register for courses, look at your bill, your schedule, Blackboard. That's our learning management system. That's really what we will use for this course. Degree Works can show you your progress toward a degree. You have your email. Starfish is a really great way to find out when I'm available to Zoom with you or to take a phone call for advisement, for questions, whatever. So check out Starfish. Pretty easy to learn. A whole lot of other stuff there. But our main software package is Blackboard, okay, a learning management system. And you'll need to have a username, which is usually the first 6 digits of your last name, and a number. Check that out. If you're not sure, let me know, and I'll help you to find that. And your password, which is usually your birth date for the first time. There'll be a list of courses that you are taking. Well, for me, courses I am teaching. Now, who are you guys? Let me see. We here are 4771, okay? Please don't email me say I'm in your history class, because I'm like, which one of these are you in, right? So try to tell me the CRN number, that 4-digit number, right? And I have some announcements. Welcome to History 1510. Blah, 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 all right? I also obviously put the link to this video in, or how else would you have found it? Normally when I put in announcements, they will blast out to you by email too. You can go back and read them here. So this class did not meet in real time, but we'll do this for YouTube videos and discussion board on this learning management system, all right? And that's my way of taking attendance. So you need to get into Blackboard. It's perhaps not as intuitive as other software. I've had some challenges with it myself. But play around with it. There will be a discussion forum. I don't have it set up yet, but I will by the time you watch this, where, yes, there's some old things in there, where for this lecture, hey, give us your name. That's how I will do attendance, and where you are from. So if you're Sally Smith from Jamestown, you put your name there, okay? And then we'll start to learn about one another a little bit. It's tough to do icebreakers asynchronously, but the discussion board is where I will judge participation, like, oh, did you watch the videos, especially the ones on lectures, and did you find them relevant? Can you say something about them? For the next couple of days, please just put your name and where you're from, and the next time we'll ask some other questions just to try to break the ice a little bit here, okay? All right. Also, content is where I will post things like what? Chapter 1 of our text, Chapter 2 of our text, not Chapter 3 of our text. No, I'm not allowed to post the whole book. The publishers kind of get mad, but first couple chapters are there. I will show you the book in a moment. This is actually what I'm allowed to see. How about what you are allowed to see? Okay, content. A couple chapters there, and then the syllabus. Okay, so the syllabus. Here we go. History 1510, John O'Brien. You can just call me John, although hopefully I will see you at some point face to face. We are in fall semester 2020, right? We're not still in April 2020. No, it feels like it, however. Course description, that comes from the master syllabus. Student learning outcomes. Look, many of you are taking this course to fulfill State University of New York, SUNY, right? General education requirements for other world civilizations, which is really an awful way to categorize this stuff. Like the other world, Like there's our world, which is awesome, and then there's the other world. No, that's not the meaning of this. I didn't get to name it. But we're looking at primarily the non-North Atlantic, the non-so-called Western world. All right? And that's really where civilization begins and spreads. It doesn't spread in Jamestown, New York. All right? It takes a long time for humans even to move into what is now Jamestown. Right? A whole lot's going on in other parts of the world before this region is even populated, right? By anyone. SUNY Gen Ed. All right, so we should learn about cultural understanding, global perspectives. You guys can read that. Course objectives, what would I like you to get out of the course to become historically literate? To be smart people who can think critically. That's so much in need right now in our country. Okay? To take evidence and to weigh the facts objectively and come to a decision. Okay? Improve your interpretation skills. Improve your communication skills. You're going to do a lot digitally, right? Frankly, that's the way this course is set up. To communicate in our Blackboard forum with each other digitally, and also to communicate with me, hopefully by email, phone call, Zoom, but also through your essays. So there's a lot of writing history, but that's good. You want to become better writers because that's what's needed out there in the business world, the academic world, the medical world, right? In all those lucrative careers that I assume you guys want, thinking, well, let me put it in order. Reading, thinking, writing are really important, right? So reading, thinking, and communicating, but especially in writing, are certainly important. My friends, my colleagues on campus teach business, and they say, you know, like half a business person's time is spent in email. Where do you learn how to write good email? Well, probably in history course, right? I mean, you learn how to think and write and be concise and proper. You don't want to send your boss an email that's really crappy, okay? You won't get a raise. You won't get a promotion. Critical thinking and study the past. And certainly, folks, without getting too political here, please think critically about the direction of this country and get registered, get educated, and vote. Get educated, registered, and vote. Okay, those first two can be in either order, but you got to vote in November, please. Right? Apply what you learn in this course toward other courses. History is very interdisciplinary. Everything else you're taking has a history. Well, I'm taking psychology. There is a history of psychology. Well, I'm taking math. There's a history of math, right? So history is very interdisciplinary. And hopefully to prepare you for higher levels of college study, be that in history or some other field. Link to master syllabus, if you want the brief version of this, is there. Civility statement. Please be nice, okay? Be nice, especially in the discussion boards, okay? There's the note on this I've already mentioned. Required resources. Yeah, how much is this course going to cost me? Well, you need access to computer hardware and software, right? That will facilitate the use of Zoom. No, I'm sorry, for you guys, you don't really need Zoom, but you need to be able to watch video, get into Blackboard, email, and news websites, okay? Bentley, Ziegler, and actually Salter, depending on the edition. This is our textbook, Traditions and Encounters, a Global Perspective. You want to make sure you get from the beginning to 1500, right? So world history before 1500. It's volume 1. Don't get volume 2 if you're taking just this course, right? Volume 2 makes no sense. Volume 2 is like Christopher Columbus. Volume 1 is like Egyptian pyramids. Not quite, but you get the idea, okay? Thousands and thousands of years off. The 6th edition has been out there for a while. You'll get a used copy, cheaper. The 7th edition is super expensive. Try to avoid the 7th edition if you can, okay? That one's brand new and it's going to be très cher pour vous, all right? It's really expensive. It can also be available as an ebook or rent it through the campus bookstore. There's a website there. Read relevant articles that I'm going to assign weekly. I'll give you a link and you can read something from Axios.com, WashingtonPost.com, New York Times, etc. Okay, related to current world events, but also, look, the United States is a major factor in world events right now, so certainly there'll be some U.S.-based news sources as well. And then daily review of announcements. Please kind of keep up on Blackboard as I put things out there so you know what's going on. What's going on with the grades? There are 4 exams, each worth 100 points.